Welcome back to Franchise Hockey Manager 10 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's the beginning of our first season here in charge in Pittsburgh, and these are our acquisitions that we decided to do right off the bat. First thing that we decided to do was we end up acquiring Patrick Kane. We got Patrick Kane here for around 4.7. I'm sure we could have got him cheaper, but we just really wanted him, and I think that it bodes well with what we want to do with the series, which is going all in. And who better than to go all in with than Patrick Kane here? So Patrick Kane's our first signing. We obviously brought up Blomqvist as well. He has around 3.5 to 4-star potential here. At least that's what our scouting is saying. So we do have high hopes. He doesn't look too bad. So even if he ends up progressing just a little bit, he should be a pretty serviceable backup for us. But then we went on a tear here. We ended up getting rid of Joseph. I can't even say his name, Nedeljkovic, and then Lindberg, and a second-round pick for Korchinski. He's not necessarily going to start this season, but he does have a decent amount of potential. So I know it may seem like a little bit cheating based on our rules here, but I know we're not going to have a draft, and I know this is a guy that we can definitely build around with how our team is structured, and we really need a lefty as well. So we end up grabbing this guy immediately just so he can service now, and then I know later on with his contract, when it ends up coming time to renew, it's going to be a pretty decent pick for us as well. But we end up giving up draft picks, we end up giving up prospects as well, just to grab that guy. We end up going for Jordan Spence next. Same kind of deal. He is 3.5 potential ability, but he is probably going to play a decent role. Both these players are going to play a decent role season one. They're probably going to slot in lefty and righty, and we're going to try and get them to know both positions as much as possible. Jordan Spence is pretty decent. I mean, his acceleration's very good, determination, and just the fact that he has more room to grow. A rushing defender at heart, but he can also play two-way, which is going to be pretty good, especially if he can improve that moving on. We end up giving up Acciari and Hallander and a third-round pick. But most of this was just for cap. We need to get rid of Acciari's contract. He, $2 million. We couldn't afford that, so I'd rather pay one guy that has potential $1 million as opposed to someone that's not going to get any better for two. And then we just end up getting McLeod. We end up getting him for he's 2.1. We end up getting him from Edmonton, and we end up giving up Graves here. Since we end up having the players for our defense, it didn't really matter, but it's $4.5 million over 6 years. So it's unfortunately it was a decision that we had to make. We really need to get rid of him just to be able to fit in Kane's contract, and I think we were already screwed before that. We then ended up extending Gensel to 6.5, which is only a little bit more than what he's getting now. We ended up talking him down. I think he wanted around 7 million, so we ended up getting him for around a little bit below 6.5, so not too bad there. We then extended Samuel Poulin as well. He has a little bit of potential, but I mean, screener, but he can also play power forward as well. And we are probably going to need him after year one, because just to look at our contracts here, if you didn't see in the first episode, we do have Crosby for 2 years. We are paying around $50 million in year one for our forwards. Jeff Carter, we were almost going to get rid of him, but I feel as though that would have been a little bit counterintuitive of what we wanted to do with this franchise as well. He can bring a lot to the table, and he is a very good center. Very good face-off. It would have been impossible to replace him in there. So he's probably going to slot in as a center at some point this season. Pitlick we might end up extending as well. He is a decent setup man. His passing and offensive reads pretty well, but I think he's asking for a little bit more than what we want to pay. 1.45. So we'll kind of see how well he does before we decide to commit to that, because we've already committed around $1 million, $1.5 million to other players as well. And Hinostroza also is a guy that we might not want to make an immediate decision on that. Granted, he does want 1 point. You know what? We might extend that right now. I thought he was going to ask for a little bit more. So we're gonna see. Let's start off with 875 and see if he bites on that. He stays firm at 1070. Let's go. Let's not go up that much. Let's go up maybe 945 to hopefully not scare him off there. He only goes down to 10,000. What a snake! I kind of don't want to grab him just for that. But we'll go for 9.8. See if we can kind of meet in the middle at a million. He's only really going down one at a time, so in order not to spook him, let's kind of go a little bit above a million. And he's willing to sign that. I think, what was he getting before? He's getting around 775, so it's still a decent amount I guess improved for him, but we'll probably hold off on Shea as well. And Spence we tried to extend, but I think I kind of did a little bit too much of an insulting trade for that, or insulting offer for what he wanted, and he didn't want to do anything. So far, we are projected to do nothing. They didn't really say anything, but it looks like Toronto's the favorite, which we all know that's definitely bullshit, because that's never going to happen. Colorado, I would say, is probably a front runner as well, and Edmonton as well. Tampa's a dark horse, but we're not even really in the conversation in terms of any position at all, so I don't think that they really project us to do anything. It just says we're balanced. It says we're balanced next year. Our weaknesses in goalie and lefty, but hopefully throughout the season, the acquisitions that we end up doing, and even Peterson here, one of the reasons why I wanted to keep him was just based on his defensive rating, and he probably will play a pivotal role in this, but we will just see what our assistant ends up saying in terms of that. So it looks like they slot him in here. And then so far, based on what they're saying, I don't know why they're putting Kane as a playmaker, but we'll kind of see that progress. We might end up having him more of a shooter if he doesn't get any goals or any points or anything like that. I see him more of as a perimeter shooter than anything. But just for the sake of what we're doing, we'll just kind of leave it for AI to do that. Yeah, he's more of a dangler speeding forward, in my opinion, than a playmaker, but that's what they have as his best position. And then we have Yari and Blomqvist. They're going to start off in goal there. Yari's going to obviously be our starter. We have Pitlick, Carter, Hinestrosa as our fourth line, Nieto, McLeod, and Raquel as our third. We have Smith, Malkin, and Kane, which is a pretty good line. And then we have Gensel, Crosby, and Russ as our first line there. Korchinski and Carlson are going to be our top 2D, which is kind of interesting with our first acquisition we ended getting. Ends up starting out at the top there. And then you have Smith and Letang, and then you have Pedersen and Spence. So far, I really like all those pairings. We did do a little bit okay in the preseason in terms of, we'll look at points and grades here. Grade-wise, it was Gensel who graded the highest, but everyone's playing with different players, so it's kind of hard to go at that. Points-wise, it was Crosby all day, Gensel second, and then Carlson third, but everyone else didn't really show anything. I think Korchinski ended up playing, he's now up to a 2.5, so I mean, not bad. He did good in WHL the year before, so we'll see if he can make a impact this season. I feel as though Samuel Poulet probably won't. But our first game's against Chicago, so it's new school versus old school. Let's see if we can get at least one win here. So we end up starting off 2-1. I think that's how it started off in real life. Sidney Crosby getting the first goal, Bedard getting his first point in the first game, and Gensel also getting his first of the season. So far, so good. I think we were the only game that played, but Yari getting a decent save percentage there to start us off here. But year one, off to a good start. Hinestrosa signed. Spence ended up signing a deal. Okay, so he ended up accepting the one that I did. So that's pretty interesting. He didn't want to deal with us, then we end up signing him through, and now he ends up wanting it. So a quick look in terms of the cap, though, because I wanted to wait till the first game of the season ended up happening. We are currently around $1 million just below $1 million in terms of the cap space. Around $7 million is going to clear up next season. So with the likes of Carter leaving, which we can probably find a decent player to fill that role. Pitlick, give or take, we might end up keeping him or not, and then even Shea as well. But we can probably grab players that are going to come up just for argument's sake. We do have Jagger, who's going to be probably coming up, so he can probably take Carter's position. But he is a speedy forward, so maybe not. And then Pickering as well could probably come up in probably a season or two for our lefty problem there. And Peniemi, I guess, could. Well, he probably has a couple more seasons, and then Bolivo as well. But even if they're 3 stars, they're probably good enough to start for us. I feel as though if we end up getting solid 3 stars, then it's probably a good player, at least for what we're doing here, because keep in mind a lot of their ratings are based off of Crosby and Malkin, and I feel as though it'd be an undersight to think that they're not good just based on their star rating. Second game here against Capitals, we end up winning the first 2. That is a good sign. Letang, Gensel, and Gensel again, and then Malkin. So far not really seeing Kane's name anywhere, so we might end up. And McLeod is injured off the start. How long is he out for? He's out for 1 to 2 months. That is fantastic. We love to see that. So injury list. The only good thing is that it does loosen up the cap, but I do think we're going to have to bring in Koppinen here, who even though was rated as I guess a worse player than McLeod. McLeod is probably a better player for us just because of the role that he ends up filling. It's one of the things that we end up learning when we end up doing Montreal Canadiens is how important the roles are this year. I didn't really notice that much last year, but I don't think I was as successful as last year as I was this year. And it's just more so the combination of different players and different lines and stuff like that really help. Yeah, he's going to be a grinder, so that's pretty good. It's a good replacement for McLeod, because McLeod was around that same as well. We end up losing our first game here against Calgary. They've already won 2. Korchinski getting a shorthanded goal, so that's a nice thing to see. Kane getting his first goal, so we do like to see that as well. But already missing McLeod, but we are still first in the Met, or second now, I guess. But we have played the most amount of games. But 4 points in 3 games is not the worst start of a franchise. And it looks like Toronto already not doing what they thought that it was going to do. And they are currently in second last place with Ottawa. So I know in real life Ottawa was supposed to do well this season, but it does not look like they are going to. Buffalo is also kind of looks like actually how the actual standings are, minus Pittsburgh is a little bit below than what they are normally, and New Jersey should be a little bit higher. But looks like Blue Jackets should be towards the bottom. I feel as though season 1, if we can just manage to get through the regular season in a wild card spot, we should be good. But coming off our first loss here, we do make our bounce back win there. We got Russ getting his first, Crosby getting his second. We got Gensel. Gensel's just on fire. Kapanen and Spence, after signing a contract, or sorry, Kopanen and Spence getting their points there. 6 points now in 4 games. We're going to obviously play a little bit, but I'm going to try and make this series a daily thing. So we're going to try and release it at around noon every single day. And see how well that kind of takes. It's going to be mostly 20-minute videos, but we're going to kind of give a play-by-play on everything that's ended up happening, just to kind of give you more of a look at what we're doing and how well the simulation is doing. Because we're not really trying to go we're going all in with it, but we're not going absolutely crazy here. I think Blomqvist was actually in net that one game that we lost. So we end up winning 4-0, our first shutout of the season. You got Korchinski, Malkin, and Smith all contributing, and then Russ getting the final nail in the coffin there. It'd be interesting to see how well we're doing after around 20 games. I think that's hopeful as to what we're going to stop, depending on how quick this ends up going. But it's like I said, we're going to try and go as close as we can to around 20 minutes. Yari goals against average is 1, which seems odd. Was I actually not playing him? Oh no, he played 3 games. Okay, and Blomqvist played 2. So yeah, we do owe our 1 loss to him, I guess. But I think we also had Pedersen not playing. So 4-1's our next game. Letang, Pitlick, and Hinostroza all contributing there as well for goals. And it's off to a flying start. 5-1-0 is much better than what they're doing in the regular season now. I don't know what's happened with Pittsburgh. I still think it's a GM issue. I don't think they've managed to survive this long, and then all of a sudden you end up making changes with the team, and not very good ones in my honest opinion. I mean, we didn't really do too much here, and it looks like at least in terms of simulation, we're doing pretty well, beating the former champ that's won the playoffs or Stanley Cup in the last 3 seasons, and we end up beating them in, well, shootouts, I guess, actually. So the person who ends up winning the shootout for us is Patrick Kane. So already his $5 million a year is already paying dividends, and Yari's towards the top in terms of goals against and wins and save percentage, but no one in terms of the points thing. We might end up doing an experiment, probably in the later half of the regular season. If we end up starting to kind of plateau, we're going to try and go all in terms of offense and kind of see what that ends up doing, and see if we can get as many points as possible with that. But so far, we're just going to kind of take this day by day. So 4-1, another handedly victory. Kopanen is actually pretty good, getting his 3rd goal there. He got 2 in this one, and Jeff Carter getting his 1st of the season. So it seems like after 8 games, we're on fire here. 7-1-0, currently best in the league. Jeez, I don't know if that's Kane or anything like that, but I don't remember Pittsburgh doing this well, even in the other simulation that I had back with Montreal. But it looks like we're doing pretty well despite McLeod being out. 3-1, another decisive win there. We're probably going to want to swap out Yari a little bit, though. I don't want him playing every single game. But grading 66, so yeah, we probably should swap him out anyways. And I guess we're going to get a better look at how important having a good goaltender is. I know it was a game changer with Oettinger. If Oettinger ends up being a free agent, as much as I don't want to, just more so for experiment to making things a little bit different this season, I don't see a way that I don't want Oettinger, though. He immediately makes your team better, and I mean, depending on how early on we are in the save. Oh, everyone losing a little bit there, so don't like to see that. And then Yari getting a goalie of the month there. We didn't go to we got some decent scouts, but there's not too many good ones after season 1. So and we don't really have that many picks anyways. I think we have our earliest one is around 3rd or 4th. I think it's 4th. 4th is our earliest one, because we decided to get rid of, instead of just doing 1st and 2nd, we decided to do all 3 rounds that we ended up having to get rid of. So yeah, we're only allowed having a 4th. So we only have a 4th, a 7th, or a 6th and a 7th for next year. Actually, 2 7ths for next year, and then at the beginning of next season, we'll have to get rid of that 1st rounder. So if there's anyone that's good that comes up, we're going to try and nab them as quickly as possible. Philly's played, well, I guess 1 more game at this point than us, and currently tied with us in points. We did get Marc Lajoie, who, I mean, I didn't look at his stats before I signed him. I just saw his potential, but immediately his potential went down as soon as we signed him. So I don't think our scouts are actually as good as what I was hoping. But we're gonna try and take as many shot in the darks as we can year one, anyways, and just really hope that we can get a player that kind of sticks. Kind of doing it the Pittsburgh way, in my opinion, because they have been very good at bargain shopping for picks, anyways. So, I mean, yeah, I should have switched out our goalie here. We win 7-4 though, and then we'll probably switch for Anaheim there. Letang getting off. Granlund. Granlund used to play for us. That would have been a good player as well to have kept. You have Ty Smith, Jeff Carter getting 2, and then Crosby getting his 4th of the season. Not bad, not bad. 18 points in 10 games. Yeah, we're probably going to play, I guess maybe around 5, 6 more. Probably not going to get to all the way to 20. Sync seems to be moving around a little bit slower than what I would have hoped for, but I think we're just going to swap out our goalie for the next game. And, I mean, Anaheim hasn't gotten a win yet. It would really suck for us to be the first win because we decided to swap out our goalies. We do have LA right after, though. But yeah, I do want to do that. Connor McDavid out day to day, though. That's interesting. They start off to a very slow start in real life as well. I find that kind of shocking. That was another kind of decision that they ended up doing where they ended up grabbing the wrong coach. And we're their first win. I should have known. But 2-1, I mean, you can't really blame it on the goalie. You have Malkin who contributes, and McTavish ended up getting the 2 goals on us. But Blomqvist ended up doing it at 85, so I can't really blame him for that. But I know emphasis is winning now, but it's also not not destroying the franchise either. Trying to be as realistic as possible while doing an all-in challenge, at least for the first couple seasons. Oh yeah, and we're not going to do any waivers, at least while we're trying to be competitive. Feels though that's counterproductive there. You know what? We'll do this, and then we'll swap them out. Maybe we just need a little bit more of a change here, but with that, Kane goes down to the third line there. 5-1 loss, so that was a terrible change. The only person getting a point was Kane, though, or getting a goal was Kane. And then we're gonna try and do this. We're gonna agree with criticism. Yeah, you know what? Maybe they need criticism after that. Let's see if it bounces back or if it actually makes it worse. Because we were in first there, and now we just bounced down. We end up suffering our 2nd loss in a row, so I mean, like I said, it looks like it's starting to plateau at least after the first 10 games. And then I kind of hate playing less games because all the games that we're gonna get is gonna be back-to-backs, and that is just terrible to win. I feel as though they're so hard, especially when you end up playing your backup goalie for the first game. I feel as though you're almost guaranteed to lose that. Same thing with injuries, I find. And then we have Buffalo after this. Buffalo's doing okay, I guess, in the Atlantic, but here in the Met, we are still in 3rd place, which, I mean, no matter what, we're top of Atlantic, so, I mean, not too bad there. But it does seem like this game is going a little bit slower than what I was expecting. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just my computer's a bit slower. But we should have been at that point already. But yeah, it looks like we have our next game here. Oh no, it's still loading a little bit, so I find that pretty interesting. Because we should have been able to power through this super quick. And now it looks like, yeah. Sometimes it happens when there's, yeah, it seems like it's a lot slower than what it normally is. And my computer's not the worst, so I find that kind of weird. It looks like they decided to rest Pedersen there and put Shea in instead, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the contributing factors of us Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to put Shea in instead. So we'll face off against Buffalo here. 4-1 loss again. So Nieto. So I think probably what we're going to do next... Let's refuse to comment. Clearly it didn't do very well. We didn't get fired up. We suffered our fourth loss here. And it's kind of solidifying us with our two bigger rivals, I guess, other than maybe Capitals in the Met. It looks like it's solidifying us in third place there, so we're gonna have to do something that changes that up. But it is Columbus, so I'm really hoping that we can come away with the win here. Okay, so we got 8-3, so it looks like maybe the criticism is very important. Don't criticize your players ever. Because if you don't, it looks like they do well the next game. And, oh no. Oh, day to day. So I guess Shea maybe? Who's our right D? Our other right D? Yeah, we're going to have to kind of makeshift that. But I guess we should have probably moved him to IR. I think that would have cleared up a little bit of cap later on in the season. But we'll probably play New Jersey here. Surprisingly, Carolina's not doing as well. But we'll play New Jersey here, and then and that should be it. Still 10-4, 10-4 in 14 games is still pretty good. Yeah, for whatever reason, it seems like the game's lagging a little bit at the moment. So let's actually move him to the IR. I think that will help a little bit more. And then game here. Kane's still on the third there, but they switched him up to Dangler. And 3-0, so AI does know a little bit there. You got Rust, Crosby, and Carlson. So we'll end it here at around, what, 15 games here? So, oh, with that 15th game, it does put us at the top of the Met. In terms of the whole league, though, we are also top of the league. We do have 54 goals for, 34 against, which is around 20 differential, which I'm pretty sure is probably the highest as well, but it won't let us click that. Let's take a look at some of our rivals. Canadians, wow. Canadians minus 23, so it's good to see that they're going to be rebuilding year one like what it was, but it was more difficult for us to do it. We might even try and poach some of their players if it's possible. If I can see a little bit of an upgrade in some of those, but we'll take a look at how well our team is doing. We'll do goalies first because I always do them last. Yari with 913 save percentage is a huge contribution to that. 10-2. Still haven't lost in OT. 207 goals against. Blomqvist's not doing too bad with his 1.5 star there. 899 is still pretty good for a backup. He's 1-2 and 9 goals against with a 3 goals against average there. We'll take a look at grades first. Rust is at the top. Carlson's second. Crosby's not doing as well as what I would imagine. 68 seems very low for him. Gensel as well. But in terms of points, though, Crosby 13 in 15 games. Feels though he should be doing a little bit more than that. Rust as well, but I think a lot of it's probably Crosby doing well. And then Gensel here with 11. Malkin with 11. Korchinski with 11 points. That is a surprise, actually. 2, 9, and 1. And 4 plus minus. Shorthanded goals 1. But already it looks like we didn't do anything cheap there. We just ended up grabbing the best player currently and in the future, it looks like. So looks like next season we should be a real contender there. Nieto, who I kind of forgot about, was 10 points in 15 games there. Then you have Raquel with 9, Carlson with 9 as well. Then you have Smith with 7, and Kane getting 7 and 15. That's a lot less than what I would have expected. So he's probably not worth the 5 million. In case anyone's wondering, for the rest of the season, but or for regular season, I guess. He got 57 last year. So I mean, give or take, I mean, it doesn't look like he's probably projected to do even close to that. Looks like he's projected to do 37, so we need to do something to change that. Maybe moving him up in the line should do that. But that's all for this episode. Stay tuned for next episode. Leave a like or comment if there's anything more that you want to see. But thank you for watching, and until next time.